I guess we will call to order. I can't see what time that is. Let's say
14.
6:14. All right, we're running late today. Okay, so first is attendance. Elaine Breslow,
Present.
Sarah Pease,
Present.
Steve Brown,
Here.
Catherine Harvey is here, Brooke Jewel,
Here.
Alex Lettieri.
Present.
And so we're missing Megan Brinsey and Carolyn Coffey and Mary Lou Lawrence. Okay, so we have 6, that's enough. All right, did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting?
Yes.
Any additions, corrections, questions?
No.
Do I hear a motion to
I
approve?
move the minutes. On second?
All in favor? Aye. All right, minutes are approved and do we have staff today? Oh, Angela.
yes.
It's me.
Oh, wow. Exciting.
So you're doing 2 roles.
I'll jump in, you know.
Yeah, I hope you get overtime pay.
Hey,
Yeah, I don't know, I can introduce myself, so I'm Angela, I took over for Bronwyn. I live in Hingham, close by with my 2 sons and my husband. And this is all brand new to me. Previous to this, I was a DNA analyst and then a homicide investigator for Suffolk County.
Oh,
And sometimes I miss a lot of it. And I probably bring some of that energy sometimes here, so I try to not do that. But yeah, so actually my husband and I are involved in Cub Scouts in Hingham, and I recently, or just this past week, did a extraction and fingerprint thing with the kids. So I like set up the thing, we extracted DNA from strawberries because they're children, they're not really gonna do real DNA extraction. And then I had gotten a bunch of stuff from the Boston Police because I'm still friendly with everybody over there, and I got the fingerprint pads and everything, and so we did that. I got hinge lifters, so we took fingerprints off my glass, which was gross anyway, so it worked out because they kind of cleaned it up. But yeah, and so sometimes when I do those things, I still kind of wish I was back at it, but COVID hit and I just stayed home with my kids who were little. My youngest, Dominic, at the time was only 3. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. And it was great. It was the best decision I ever made. I loved being with my kids. I got a little older. I did that for about 3.5 years. And then I was like, oh, I think I could do something else. And so this was perfect because it's close to home. I'm still very involved with the kids and school, and they're still in grade school, so it's helpful. And I'm close by, so this was a good fit. But I can't say that when you mentioned how you went back to school, like culinary school, like I was like, what's my next thing? Like, what is my next career? Because I feel like I had a career and I'm not really feeling I'm gonna go back to that career, and I'm enjoying this, but like, sometimes it's just nice to be like, what's something that I would really love to do, you know? But this
You
is,
can do more than one thing.
right, we can, you know, because we
Yeah.
really didn't think about that when we dove into careers 20 years ago. It was like, oh, I was just gonna be a DNA analyst. I was just gonna do that. I was gonna be a nerdy scientist in the lab. And I had this huge case on Tuttle Street in Dorchester, which at the time was only 2 blocks from where I lived. And the deputy chief at the time was, he's a wonderful human being, was like, I have to prove a negative in this case. So you're gonna test every single item in that apartment. Because we had to prove that a third person wasn't there. And so I tested 105 cigarette butts and Chinese food containers and everything. And I sat on the witness stand for 3 days, and it was the best 3 days of my life. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. Forget the lab. I want to be in the courtroom. So I was like, this
Maybe
is
you should go to law school.
right. So I thought about that. I didn't have a lot of money because I was a scientist part and I worked for the government, and I paid my student loans. I'm proud of myself. I did that, but it's not like I had any money really for law school. But the deputy chief sat me down and was like, you got to come work for us. You can be a liaison, you can do forensic reviews, and you can just like, you know, you'll still be working with the homicide guys. This is great. And so I did. And so I wanted to try something new and was like, I'm gonna just try something new. And so I did the investigator part, and I did forensic reviews, and I worked with the lawyers, which was a whole different way of seeing the crime scene, which was awesome, and I really enjoyed that. And, I don't know, I think because of the fact that I have a science background, though, I'm super organized like Bronwyn was, so I think that's really like what helps in the office, because I have like folders and everything's labeled, and it's like, everything's a piece of evidence in there, so I have like everything very detailed and kind of organized, like I'm still trying to find my way with that stuff too, because it is a little different, but I think I'm doing okay, like, you know, and just managing, I'm learning how to be around people, really. I mean, that's something I.
And now
it's-
that's who we're
I'm
relying
not, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like funny to say that, but it's true, like this is a whole different ballgame, and it's hard for me sometimes, but I'm trying and I'm like learning, and that's cool, cause I'm old and I'm learning, so that's.
Older, excuse me.
Yeah.
Older, but it's like, yeah, it's like that second breath. Like, you know, what am I
But
doing?
there can
But
always be a third, because
Yeah.
your
There
kids,
is,
when your
yeah.
kids are, let's say, no longer living at home or whatever, then there's another
Yeah.
opportunity to reinvent oneself and,
right, and I
you know,
meet
do
cool
the
people
things that you
here
thought
too.
like, that would be so fun, but I can't do that right now.
Exactly.
Right, which was what I was
Yeah.
thinking the whole time you've been talking about the culinary thing, because I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just like diving into something new. It's fantastic, like
Yeah.
it's so cool. Especially because we didn't come into the career world like being taught that. It was
Mhm.
just, this is what you're gonna be, and this is who you are, and this is what you do. I mean, that's the other problem, right? Like my whole identity was based off of this job I had.
Yeah.
So not doing it. And I think that's why I enjoy teaching the kids sometimes, because I'm just like, oh, I'm like back in it and kind of feel like, oh, I'm, you know, it's like a different phase, but.
Can I
Yeah.
ask, what did you go to college for? Like what science? What?
So my education was very much like my job jumping. So I went for a biology degree because I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna do cancer research. Like at the time, I was like, oh, research, I'm gonna do research. So I finished with that, and I ended up going to Syracuse for cancer research. So PhD program, I'm there, I'm kind of enjoying myself, but let's be honest, if you've ever done cancer research, you're in a dark room the size of like, maybe from here down, shades, real shades down, lights out. and I'm counting cells, like using the cell counter, like that are like fluorescing cells. So I'm in the dark, staring at fluorescent cells and counting them. Like I was doing that the majority of the time. And I was 21 years old. I was not that's not me. So I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna leave this. And so I called my brother, who was a fireman down in Orlando at the time, and he was like, they're looking for a bunch of biology nerds here, they're getting a lab going, why don't you just come down here? And I was like, geez, Florida, like I'm a Northeast girl, you know? So I was like, that's fine. So I did go down there, and it was a great place to be trained in forensics, because Florida has a lot of
Yeah.
so I learned everything, and then I got homesick for the Northeast, and my family's from New York. I'm from upstate New York originally, from Utica, which is just an hour, what is it, west of Syracuse, east of Syracuse. So I applied for a job at the New York City lab and the Boston lab, because I was like, if I'm gonna go hard, I'm gonna go city, I'm gonna go good time. And Boston was hiring, so I was like, I'm in. And that's it. And then I just stayed up here. I found a home. I love it. And that was it. That's my whole background. Oh, and then while I was at Boston, so Robin Cotton, who did the O.J. Simpson case, the DNA, started a program with Amy Broder, who was my office partner at Boston University School of Medicine. So they got together and started the forensic program there, the master's forensic program. And so like, I was in my 20s with all my friends. So we were like, oh, let's just do the program. We could work during the day. We literally worked with each other during the day. And then at night, we would go and pretend to bag evidence and do like the classes at BU. And so I did that. And once again, just like with my PhD, I had all enough credits to so this is like crazy, because I had enough credits for a master's at Syracuse, but then quit because I never did the research. And then even at BU, I have over 30 credit hours of classes, which would be a master's, but then I was like, I'm not gonna do the research, I'm just leaving. So I left. So I don't have my master's there either, but I have probably 70 graduate credit hours of between like, you know, like upper class biology courses from Syracuse and BU medical, the forensic science, biomedical forensic science classes. Just, I don't do anything with it because it's not like I can tell people that. It's like auditing, you know, like, oh, I audited for years, all these classes, which was fun, right? I enjoyed it. And I learned a lot, but don't use it.
You know, I see you doing a library program here, though.
Yeah,
Honestly.
we've talked
We've
about
talked
that.
about
That
it.
would be so great.
Great idea.
It
Yeah.
is,
That was
yeah.
making me think, what if if other staff members have a skill?
Yeah.
And the program could be, you know,
I think that a lot of.
learn
people
something with the
just
staff.
get their
member, you know,
Yeah.
Fred does different
Yeah.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take the other classes.
Yeah, well, and even just talking about processing the evidence on homicide cases.
Right.
You know, that's.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Then you could pass
Yeah.
out your cards.
Yeah, I know, right? I've worked on some homicide cases. We defended a trial successfully to not guilty in a homicide case
Oh, okay,
about 18 months ago, and we have a couple others that I work on periodically.
yeah,
It's, yeah, that's
I know, it's
heavy, it's very heavy work, yeah.
it is, and
Yeah.
like, and that's why I like the DA's office, because I definitely wasn't prepped for that, where you work with the victims and like their families and stuff, right? Like, it's just like, I could do dead bodies, but like, working with the family and trying to be,
Yeah.
you know,
It's-
in that part of
It's
it
the thing
is,
that people
totally
miss,
different.
who are sort of, you know, crime enthusiasts, you know,
Yeah.
being with real people who are involved in these cases, it's really,
right,
really
Mhm.
trying.
it's tough, and yeah, especially because, like, in the lab, you just, you know, it's just homicides, but at the DA's office, they're in charge of all death investigations, so I would go to the scenes for like anything, and those were always horrendous, no matter what, you know, so I do miss going to scenes too, though, and that's, yeah, but whatever, that's where I was, here's where I am, and, that's it. Do you have any questions?
So many
Now I feel like we're
questions.
super excited.
We gotta jazz things
Yeah,
up a
we
little
can
bit.
jazz it up.
Yeah, what's the best way to get rid of our fingerprints?
You can just clean them up or get bleach, it'll clean everything up, to be
Right,
honest.
sand them down.
Yeah. Many crimes.
Yes.
Thank you, that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Right.
Have you been here a year? Has it been a year?
Not yet, April Fool's Day.
Oh, okay.
It was my
Yeah, oh
first day.
Fast, yeah.
It did kind of go by fast, but, yeah. I
You
don't
guys
know.
make a great team together, it
Yeah,
seems like.
I mean, like you're saying, though, you didn't come with a background from municipal finance or anything that,
Right.
but you picked it up so quickly, because there's a lot to it, it's complicated and. A lot of people don't understand the big picture, and you really did.
Well, you're obviously a thinker and you're
Yeah.
obviously interested in learning.
Yeah, I
So-
get to do that. That's
And-
why I
and
thought the
you're
library. was
Organization,
perfect.
and that's super important, you gotta be
Yeah.
detail oriented, and you have to be organized, and. You
Yeah.
definitely, you have a lot of folders.
Yeah, I do. And they're all like
But it's
colorful.
good, yeah, they're all color coded.
Yeah, cause it
But it's
does
great,
help,
though.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
does
does.
help
It
that
really
part of
does.
it, but I do love that the librarians are like, you know, they're good with like introducing me to all different aspects of it and different people and learning all the people, you know, it's not just like Cohasset thing, but like, but yeah.
So I have a question, and this is like ridiculous because I'm way tangential, but. So from a trend standpoint, right, over the last several years, as social media has picked up and news has kind of gone from traditional methods to social media. There's been a ridiculous climb in web sleuthing, and we've had a real big, because of the crime, good, better, and different that has come to Cohasset over the last few years with some kind of big name or big popularity, crime cases. There's been a ridiculous amount of web sleuthing among people I know,
Yeah.
like, you know, and like and so. And it's one of those things that the police like wanna like get people to stop.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and
just
that-
for jury selection, like it was such a thing just to pick a juror. It was like, oh, these people think they're coming in here like, well, that's the whole thing with the internet now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're an expert in law, you're an expert in web stuff, right? I don't even know. But that's the thing,
Yeah,
but now
nothing
everybody
really.
gets online and everybody thinks they're an expert, right?
Yeah.
People are I walk in here and people are telling me about how to solve a crime, which fine, whatever they wanna think that, but just because they watched a documentary once doesn't mean that they know the same things from 15 years of experience at Suffolk County. So, and that's just me, I'm just some kind of low level whatever. I can't imagine what it's like for really intelligent people who have done things to be like, this person's telling me how to be an expert. Like, it blows my mind to get on the internet sometimes, because it's like, that's the problem with the world today. Information is there, most of it's wrong.
Right.
You know, and now there are no more experts. There's no more of that, not to quote like the newsroom monologue, which I love to this day, which is like, when was the time when we respected people who were more intelligent, who knew stuff? Can we go back to that, please?
That's not
Yeah.
We've already fallen off. the
But
cliff.
there's like this whole, and so, I mean, I think that's, you know, what you mean, yeah, there's all this kind of stuff on, and I'm sure you see it all the time, you're like, I know more about this than
But that's
this
why you're in
person.
the right place. That's the role of a library.
Right,
The-
right, right,
It's
right,
the
right.
democratization of information, among many other things today.
Right.
But
Which
that's
is why
like the
Brian
core
said we could
principle
have
Of
is.
accurate
teach.
information, right?
You know,
Yeah, everybody has.
Yeah.
some-
Well, look at what happened with Karen Reed, the
Yeah.
Turtle Boy, that whole
Yeah.
mess. I
Exactly.
mean, that's a
Yeah.
perfect example, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he just grew that whole community into just a real menace. I mean.
Real menace, and
Unbelievable.
and a lot of
Yeah.
passion for
Yes.
people from all like different, anyway, the point of this whole
Sorry,
preamble
yeah,
was
yeah.
more like, is there something from a responsibility of information
For us to do.
for us to do?
I
Right.
believe so, yes, yes. It's on the trustees to like make sure that the library, like you mentioned, this is your little piece of democracy,
Right.
like that, those words stuck with me.
Mhm.
Like, yes, yes. You have, like, and I get it, we have to be here for everyone, I also understand that, totally, we're here for everyone, but there's truth and then there's stuff that's not the truth, and we have to be the ones, though, I think, to say, this is the truth. You're welcome to say what you want and believe whatever you want,
Mhm.
but we have to be out there saying what the truth is. I really believe that.
Or bringing if it's a two, you know, if it's two sides of an issue, to be able to bring both sides of the
Yes.
issue up fairly.
Yes,
Which doesn't happen anymore. Anyway, but the point of this whole thing was, I feel like there's some passion here, like that'd be kind of a cool.
I swear
program
this is
to-
only because I just had the class with the kids and they really loved it, and I missed doing that stuff, and I don't even like kids that much, but they like fantastic. It was like, it was good, and so I think that's what.
Like you're
what
okay,
my
so that's important.
back into it.
Yeah,
That's so
that's
funny.
funny. We'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, and I think you've brought this up in the past,
Mhm.
having
I mean,
a
yeah,
program where both sides
Yeah,
come together and.
But I also
talk,
think, I think
respond,
the idea
so
though
hard, though.
of cultural, like, again, I hate that now. We've kind of gone full circle, right? So now, whatever's trending on social media, how do we try to get people to think about things responsibly? I think about this more now that my daughter's got a cell phone, which, you know, is killing me, but that, how do you get, like, she's got access to a lot of information, a lot of it is wrong.
yeah.
And how do you get people to think critically, you know, about information, and is that something that how do we help
I
with
know.
that process?
You are gonna set up a crime scene. And there are gonna be facts. The facts are, you know, the DNA is gonna show this person is guilty, this person is not. Those are the facts. And we're gonna have two groups of people. Maybe we're gonna do stereotypes. You know, this criminal is this criminal is that. And then everybody has to be like, well, I think it's this, and then you're gonna show the facts. The facts are, you came into
This
this.
is a murder mystery.
You
know,
situation.
right.
But then we'll have to write something that makes it really ambiguous, like on all
Yeah.
our law school exams, right? Like, and
Right.
you'd have to like, you could have, and you have
Exactly,
you had to show both
Yeah.
sides, yeah. But then have an answer,
But have an answer.
yeah.
I don't know, it's tough. I think you have to catch them young. And I don't want to say that there's a lost cause with some, but there's a lost cause, I think, with adults. I think that's, so Hingham right now is like obsessed with teaching the kids what is an opinion and what is fact.
Mhm.
And my little one will constantly be like, that's an opinion. Now he points it out. If somebody says something, I'm always like, shh, okay, we got it, you know. And be like, that's just an opinion. I'm like, yeah, I know it is, you know. But because it became such a thing, I think the
That's great.
schools now
That is,
are really like, let's do this. This has to be taught. This is a taught skill, you know? So with that part of it, I mean, I guess we could apply it somehow to like a little crime scene thing too. But that said, I don't know if like, you know, both, we could, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
how
my
we
point was
could,
that
though.
Ultimately, sometimes there is a fact, and the
Right.
fact is,
it's immutable.
right, so
Yeah.
you can argue
Yeah.
both and we can listen to both, but then
Right.
at the end, there's fact.
Yeah.
There's truth.
Right, that's, so with the judicial system, as you know, that's tough though, because a lot of times with crimes, we got tons of not guilties, not because the person was not guilty, but because, you know, proving a crime by, you know, what the law requires is really difficult. And I got in an elevator once and a guy got on and was like, we ain't ever giving a, you know, having a guilty be in Suffolk County. And then we were told, okay, we're not allowed to get on elevators with random people. So if we worked for the police, we had to wait for the detectives to come out and get on elevators after, because this dude got on and was like, you're never getting a guilty, like just told us. And we were like, which brings me to the other
was a
point.
juror?
Yeah,
It was like a friend of, we knew a lot of there's a lot of the same families that commit those crimes in Boston. So like, you know, they might have a case on the 5th floor and a case on the 7th floor,
Right.
you know, like, so they would just roam. But,
We
But-
actually had, in my case last week, a juror got in the elevator with the prosecutor on Monday morning. They were already deliberating
Yeah.
and spoke to the prosecutor. And then we had to have litigate the whole question of whether the juror had to be excused. My
Yeah.
job is watching the jury the whole time.
yeah,
So, yeah, it was a little nerve wracking. We ended up
Right.
keeping him and.
I
which
love
was
jury
the right-
selection.
It's the most fascinating thing. Honestly, people come in, it is continually shocking the things people will say. You're just like,
I know.
I don't
And yet the
know.
judge will instruct the jury that the
Yeah.
reason we have justice is because of regular citizens
Yeah.
like you who are
We
gonna
had-
take this job seriously, and
We had
sometimes
a
I'm like,
holdout
really?
too, Elaine. We had a holdout. 3 times he asked a question. He basically was like, it was so obvious. He was just like, everybody's arguing against him, and he kept being like, well, I'm gonna go to the judge, and he'd write out a question and send it to the judge, and it's like,
oh,
dude, like, we can't deliberate for you, like, this is your job, this is why you're here. Anyway, yeah. digress.
yeah, I don't know, yeah, that's a tough thing, teaching people that though, like having, you know, cause I don't know, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do it, but.
Alex, how about running a contest? A short contest where you give people a lot of facts. And you ask them to rate, not whether they're true or false, but is that likely to be true or likely to be false? Of information that's in the press last 30 days.
Could do like an online poll and then publish the results.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of interesting.
it'd be a lot of work.
Well, and the goal being. or
Just
the-
to highlight the fact that everything is not what it seems to be.
Yeah,
yes.
And but the idea of having it 0 to 10, you know, is real. You never know for sure.
but where are you on the spectrum of?
Yeah,
So,
Big job, though.
Yeah,
Getting the
no,
people.
but there's gotta be somebody that does that.
maybe search it up, report back.
I don't wanna be rude, we need to keep moving,
Yeah.
my kids are by themselves, and
Yeah.
I need to feed them
Yes.
when I get back, and
All
I
right.
didn't get to feed them.
All right, Angela, thank you for that presentation.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining us. That was a lot of fun and so interesting getting to know more about you. All right, so
We have an
that's to you,
interesting
Robert.
group with the library.
For sure.
Quite a variety of personalities, so, but that's what makes us so strong, so it's all good. Okay, so we're moving on to the report. It's not too long, so I'll just run through it. The first part is about, getting the staff computers replaced. I know I've talked about this multiple times, but capital budget seemed pretty, comfortable with the request. It's about $12,000. And they said, that seems like reasonable. They didn't want to give me an answer until they heard all of the requests, and then they'll let me know. So fingers crossed, because we will have a real problem if Windows 11 comes into play and we can't run it. So, but that's, we'll cross that bridge if it comes. The next part I have is, our community services, initiative is to provide sanitary products in the bathrooms, and Jen reached out to a nonprofit that donates them for free, so we got these giant boxes of pads and things. But that's great, because that keeps it sustainable so that we can keep providing them. It's been very popular. People have commented how much they appreciate it. At the same time, we also have the safe harbor kits that they put together that have fentanyl strips and Narcan and resources. If you are having addiction issues, and come in these nice little black bags, and we have everything in the bathroom so that if someone does need them, they don't have to
Pass to the
see
desk,
taking it, yeah, something like that. No, so
That's wonderful.
when we first put them out, they disappeared almost immediately, which says to me, you know, maybe some people were just grabbing them to have it, but I think that there's clearly
need
a
is there.
need. Yeah, so the nurse's office department is also involved in that, and so when we need more, they bring them over. So unfortunately, that's a sign of the times, I think, but we're glad to be able to support. What do I have next? Just the materials budget. We moved a little. We're talking about circulation, and one of the things that people are asking for quite often is large print books. So we moved some of the funds to kind of beef up that collection. We're gonna rearrange the shelving a little bit, not move them, but just move some of the things on the shelf so that we can make that whole side of large print books, because it seems to be pretty popular. And again, reduce some of the spending on some other things that aren't really circulating as much, so. Jen is gonna get some more things for Library of Things, and we're gonna do a Library of Things open house. I think, do you know when that is?
June.
It's in June,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe out on the lawn, some of the lawn games and the beach things, the blow up screen, some of the stuff inside, so that people know, you know, what we have. There's a whole lot of really fun things, and it's hard to display them, so people we kind of don't really know, oh, we have a metal detector and a paper shredder and all those kind of things. I think that's gonna be great. And then I hate to bring it up, because Angela's been battling with IT for weeks about pricing for smart boards. I won't go into the details, but it's been a lot of back and forth. We're narrowing in. We have one quote, which is very reasonable, and the company is going to install them, and then is offering free training for these staff, so everyone will know exactly what they can do and how to use them. So when we get them, they're gonna go in the 2 study rooms so that people can work there and use them. The tiny art show, unbelievably, they first bought 100 canvases. They disappeared it started February 1st. I think they were gone by February 2nd. So we have a couple hundred more, and there's maybe 50 left,
Yep.
I think, so.
Are people bringing them back?
And
then?
people are bringing
Oh my
back, and
God.
they're so creative.
Some
They're
are
so
really,
great.
Really cool.
Are they out?
Some of them are out. We
Okay.
will have the art show. It's
Yeah.
gonna be on all those lower bookcases, and then an artist reception.
Mhm.
But
It'd be
some
hard to
people.
display them all if they all come back.
I know, I was thinking
Yeah.
that too. But they come with little
They're little,
easels. They
yeah.
just little
Yeah.
tiny easels. They're adorable, but some people are doing like decoupage, and some people are doing embroidery. So originally I was thinking it was just gonna be people painting on them, because you can get some paints we have available. But Kristen did one that has a little
It's my favorite.
frame that she's glued on and then it has like love inside. It's really cute. Very, very creative so far, the ones that have been coming back, so. We didn't know when we decided to do it, if it was gonna catch on, but people really seem to have, gotten excited about it.
And how do people know about it?
I'm sorry?
How do people know about it?
How do people know about it? It was on the cover of the newsletter, it's on our website, it's on our social media, yeah, it's just, I mean, I think we even have it just a couple of them out now,
Yeah,
that ones have come back, so people can see those, so. And then, finance, I did meet with Michelle Leary, Chris was out, so I met with her about our budget for the coming year. I presented my, reasons why I thought that we should have an assistant director. I don't know, did I include the breakdown? I don't think I printed it out, of the amount of hours that were open. Did I put that in there?
You linked to it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, once I put that together, I did share that with Michelle, I was like, you can see, we're open at least as many hours as far
Right,
bigger
other-
libraries, we have less staffing, our circulation is the highest per capita of all the libraries around, and it just feels like,
That's great.
we're on a skeleton crew, it feels like, and I think, there's things that I would wanna do, like there's plenty of grant money out there that I could be looking for, maybe larger vision things, but it's just hard to do it when we're just trying to have enough staff. I mean, there's some days there's only 2 people here for the whole building, a lot of days.
Yeah.
Saturdays only have 3 people all day, Sundays only have 2, Fridays, sometimes there's only 3 or 4. That's not very many staff members for the whole building, especially how the layout of it is very spread out, so, we may do, nobody's complaining, but I think we could do more. If we just had, more, and it's hard for me, I'm on vacation, I could be contacted because there's something going on here, because there's nobody else that's, responsible for it, so. So Michelle was very supportive, and now it has to go to Chris, and then, through the layers, so we'll see, cautiously optimistic, but, and then the other part of that is the union, which is everybody else that works here, has disbanded.
What was the reason for that?
Well, as I know, I was actually the union steward for a while, the union representatives, that we had Joan for a very long time, she just retired about a year ago. And then the new one, Jane, are not, they never communicate with the union members. They don't advocate for the union, and everyone's paying union dues, well, not everybody, but,
Right, yeah.
it's probably about $1,000 a year for each person.
Wow.
And they don't feel like they get anything out of it, and we've gone to contract negotiations, and Joan had the wrong contract, she had the clerical contract, and she's advocating for something, and we're like, that's not even, they just didn't feel like they were getting their money's worth essentially, or that they felt important to the larger union. It's SEIU, which is a big national union, but a couple of years ago, the clerical union, that's mostly town hall workers, disbanded, and that kind of sort of set the stage for them to consider it. So, I mean, even simple things like our contractual pay rates, the starting pay rate for the library is lower than the very, very lowest pay rate for anyone who works for the town who's not in a union. So a person that sweeps the floors or something, a very low level position is getting paid more to start than the people that are on the front desk doing that challenging job, so. To me, the union should have been saying all along, this isn't right, but they just didn't. I don't know, we're small, the part of the problem is it's only 9 people,
Right.
so maybe not worth their time, but,
Wow, I just remember talking about historical memory,
yeah,
having some huge dues with the union.
yeah, yeah.
And we haven't had any in the last
We
10 years,
we
probably.
haven't, you're right, and I do remember sometimes the union did, stand up, there was grievances or there was
Yeah, yeah.
issues, and they did, go to bat, but, they haven't really been.
Yeah.
We haven't seen much of them at all, for a
Yeah.
couple of years at least, and so I think, everyone felt like, well, there's general laws, that protects workers. That, regardless of whether you're in a union or not, you can't just be fired without just cause and, that sort of thing, so. So what Megan and I will have to do is go through all of the job descriptions. It's great for us as management because it means that we can, change job roles, combine things. We can add more. Right now, we only have 3 categories that you can be in, and so it's very limiting. Like if you were a person on the circulation desk and you were there for 3 or 4 years, a lot more than someone who just started, but you're still on the same level. There's no line that's like a senior circulation worker, and so we couldn't really give that person extra duties because they're not being paid at that level. So it's very restricting. I'd love to have some, Sharon is probably the hardest working person here, her number of programs and the people that come in, but she has to stay at the librarian level. There's there's no other line for her to move up. So I think on that side of it, it will be great for us. We'll have a lot more flexibility and we can have people working that utilizes their skills the best.
That's
So-
great.
So, we'll see where it goes. This is new to all of us,
Yeah,
so we'll
yeah.
see. And then again, I don't know how that will affect the budget, but.
Right.
We'll worry about that when we have to. Children's Food Carpet, I just was talking to Elaine, we've done some different samples. We decided we really didn't like the first product that we were shown. I went down to Ted's area and rec, and it looks like indoor-outdoor carpeting kind of, but not even nice indoor-outdoor carpeting. And so it was great to see it actually in a larger area and get a feel for it. So going back to the 2 companies, and they've given us some different choices, so. Probably when Carolyn comes back, and maybe we can all get together,
Yep.
and
That'd be great.
I really want to move ahead with it.
I know.
Everything is so slow to
Yeah,
get
we've been
anything
talking about
done.
that
It's-
carpet for a long time, and we could to get it
You're
done.
right, I
Yeah.
know, it just feels like it's just, we have the money, and we've got the approval, and we just need to get it done, but. That's municipal government, I guess. Security cameras are now, I don't know what's going on with that, but all the different departments did ask for security cameras, and the select board kind of was overwhelmed by it, so they have written a new policy about the use of security cameras, and I haven't looked at it yet, but I think it's, from what I saw at the select board meeting, it's mostly about where they can be used, but privacy versus protection and that kind of thing, so I'll keep you posted on that. And then the front wall is they're asking for money to do the front wall, because apparently that part that's sort of narrow that sticks up is twisting or leaning. And so.
We'll take a look on the
Yeah,
way up.
maybe you can use the other door.
Yeah, don't go out that door.
Yeah. So that it's gonna be pretty expensive, but that whole area, that's where they're gonna start.
That was the 40,000 or something?
That's the 40,000, yeah, they might be able to get some, maybe CPC funding. Or some other, grant monies. To help defray the cost, but, yeah, it's gonna be a big mess, I think. And then just the reports are in. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at that webinar that I.
I thought it was fantastic.
Wasn't it?
Everybody
Yeah. it's-
There's so much grant information,
Yes,
which to your
yes.
point, it would be
If I
great.
had time to do this, the thing that I had looked at, that I thought was fantastic, was the Vermont Library had the little portable kitchen.
Yes, it's
Yes.
called the Charlie
The
cart.
Charlie cart,
On my
yes,
notes.
yes. Unfortunately, they're $15,000 because I
Yeah, but-
reached out to them, but we could do, classes, we could have
But they got it
children's
because they
classes.
got a grant, so they,
Yeah,
it's not like
exactly,
they out of
exactly, and that's, so
pocket.
the person I talked to from Charlie Cart said, oh, here's the different, a lot of people get grants and that's how they pay for it, but it's just this portable, it'd be so awesome, we could do all kinds
To
of
put it
things
in the
with it.
pavilion and have,
Exactly, that's what.
hot dogs one night
Yeah.
or, family
Yeah,
night or.
and just so many things you could do with it, and I thought that the whole presentation was really great. It was all about sustainable use of the property and thinking like that way as well.
So the one thing I was thinking also was the keynote speaker, who is a landscape
yeah.
architect and also has been involved with, interiors and exteriors,
Yeah,
even though
she's
she's a
great,
landscape
yeah.
architect, but
Mhm.
if you reached out to her and asked her about contractors, like maybe
Yeah,
she
so
would
they
share.
did the Norwell Library.
Oh, she's
Right.
wonderful.
in
Because
addition
we're
to a
having
bunch
such a
of
hard
other ones.
time getting
Yeah.
bids.
Yeah.
So
Right.
maybe
Yeah,
she
yeah, yes,
could,
yeah.
Great
she,
idea.
because she works all the time.
Yeah,
And even the moderator, she also sounded like she,
yeah, I thought it was really, really well done, and it did kind of get me inspired to, think,
and this was another thing. So they also, one of the library directors mentioned two organizations that give grants for things, but for nonprofits.
Mhm,
So she said, so a workaround is if friends apply for the grant.
mhm.
right,
And then they granted to the
and
library.
then they give.
You linked to this
Yeah,
webinar?
it's
I
in-
read that you had
yeah.
attended them, but I didn't,
Yeah,
I didn't
yes,
watch the
yes,
thing
there's a
myself,
link
but
to
I'll
it,
go and
yeah.
watch it.
It's
So that
about
was
an
a-
hour and a half, but it actually went by pretty quickly, but you can, it's whether you can.
So
skip
that
it
was
if you're not.
important.
But so the first part was this landscape architect, and she was talking about, just being thoughtful when you are doing any projects, and they would do like a tree survey and, try to retain as many trees as they could, and they did things like, rather than having just concrete drainage, they would have, I think they're called swales, so that the water would go back into the ground again, rather than just be washed away, and so just not necessarily anything super expensive, but just thinking in a sustainable way. And so she showed, I think, 3 or 4 of her projects that she had done, including the Norwell Library. And then they had 3 different libraries. And they showed what they had done with their libraries, and they use a lot of outdoor space. And how they have programs there and how the patrons use it, and it's just really interesting, and
And the importance of buy-in, just to have
Yes.
community groups
yes, that was.
get involved and help
Right.
with, because you should have some kind of a maintenance plan, because we're not
Right.
gonna have facilities, I don't think, doing a lot of.
Right, so they
maintaining,
had
but
like
if
a
you involve
groundbreaking
other-
program,
Right.
and they had, like everyone, people had, I don't know, threw out ideas, and so everybody was kind of invested in what the finished product was, and so. I thought it was really great, and good idea, so, if you get time, just click on the link.
And then other things, like just even the Jane Goodall Roots
Oh,
and
yeah.
Shoots, I mean, like so many
Oh,
things for
yeah.
kids. But there's
Yes,
these organizations that a kid could take on, making, recycling or whatever, but this organization helps you
yeah,
get somebody involved, give
Yeah.
something for the kids to do, and just,
Yeah.
there's a lot of information.
yeah, you're right.
You've got
you're right.
kids watching.
It was really great.
That's linked in your report.
It's linked in the report,
Mhm.
yeah. And that actually reminds me, so I did a webinar today or yesterday, about a different group that's doing, they originally were from Harvard, and they're doing, they do an annual space week, which is in April. And, they're now, first like 3 or 4 years, it was just through Harvard, and, it was open to public, but it was kind of just a small thing, and now the last 2 years, they've wanted, share resources with libraries. And so it's kind of a tight window, but by the end of the week, if we decide we want to do anything, we let them know, and then they help facilitate all different kinds of programs they'll do, so say we wanted to do stargazing, out in the field. We tell them when we want to do it, and then they reach out to their network of scientists or astronomers and find out who's willing to come. Some of them will bring their own equipment. If we don't have a telescope, they will bring it all, or they can do sun gazing if we're not open late enough that it would be dark, and they have filters that they can put on the telescopes and burn your eyes, that kind of thing. But they have, like, you could do a trivia night, they've got all the trivia questions already made up. They have, they were saying a list of movies that you could show a movie night and then have a speaker about the science behind it, and it's just really, really great
sounds great.
ideas, yeah, so I think we're gonna do, I don't know how much we'll do of that, because it's a lot, but, they're super helpful, and it's free, it's just, we just have to tell them what we were planning to do, and then they will help us do it, yeah, so that
Great.
was really, there's so much out there, like you said,
If you have time.
if you have time to do, I
So-
know, it's, yeah, and it is time consuming, but, I think it could really, people are interested in space, I think that's something that could really catch on and people would come to, so. Other than that, I just, was doing another webinar about our databases, and I didn't even realize all the things that we have, it's amazing, yeah. This was from Newsbank, which has all the newspapers, you just have to click on, you can find anything you want. They have different research, sources, newspaper clippings, it's amazing, and Heritage Quest is all about, if you wanted to look up your great grandfather and you knew, his name and town he lived in, you could find out all kinds of things, it's a great resource, so, we're gonna think of ways that we can start marketing that better so that people know what we have. And that's, I think, everything that I have. Been a busy month, but a good one, so.
Thank you, Bronwyn.
You're welcome.
How about the bills? Did everybody take a look? Any questions?
Nothing wild in there. We did finally get our laptop, so that was like a little over $1,000. That was exciting. too.
Yeah, so we got a second laptop, so
Great.
we're not, the whole staff is sharing this one laptop. So, it took a while to get it set up from IT, but it's now in hand.
Are we signing?
Yeah, do we have them
Oh, yeah.
sign?
You should have.
Oh,
it
I
on
have
that,
it.
Sorry.
I'll move that we pay the bills.
Second.
Okay, Elaine Breslow,
Yes, I,
Sarah Pease.
Yes.
Steve Brown,
Yes.
Catherine Harvey, I,
yeah,
Butch Jewel,
Yes.
Alex Terry, great.
Just, shoot, I'm getting old. We were just talking about something and I had a question.
Webinar?
But the space thing,
Space thing.
sounds like.
It'll come to you in the middle of the night.
Well,
It's a book.
that's right.
Okay,
Oh, man.
raise your hand.
So, we're gonna have, the library is partnering with the Brain Health Initiative. And we're having that program is, next week for those of you.
Oh, should come to that.
And.
The segue was washing out like rain.
Oh,
And anyway, just a big call out for Jen, because she's been great.
She is great, she's, says yes to everything, and she's just she organized and
Yeah.
calm, and,
Yes,
gets it all
she's got
done,
me all
so I
calmed
think
down.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
great, yeah. So they're having, it's Balance Studio.
Bell Studio, Buttonwood, and the libraury are collaborating
Yeah.
with
I love it.
the Harvard Brain Health Initiative. And we're zooming in some big, author
She's
from.
CNN, right, correspondent, I think, from CNN
And well,
as well, and a
she
book
speaks,
author.
and she's also a professor at Columbia Medical School, and she's in OBGYN. Anyway,
So when is this happening?
this is a week from tomorrow night.
And where is
Thursday,
it?
23rd. In our library.
In the meeting room?
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's a Zoom, so
Yeah.
she's zooming in.
Oh,
But-
Can we zoom from home?
So can you-
Yes, you'll be able to Zoom from home.
Okay.
so we should go to
That's
events on the website and register, or?
Yes, you
just
can
so
go on
that you
events
can-
and register too.
Great.
Wonderful.
I mean, That's what we're supposed to be able to do.
And then the idea came back, the request for staff computers,
Yes,
those are laptops, right?
that's what I was told originally, and now it looks like they're not, they're gonna just be.
Push back.
PCs.
Push back, we should add, it should all be laptops now, like, why would we have like desktops? Like, why,
Well,
like,
because, well,
you
like
could
the
doc-
circulation desk doesn't need laptops, cause they're not. Those
You could-
stations are not really even tied to a single person, they're, everyone uses those, there's, you know, the two.
But wouldn't it give you still versatility though?
you could put them in docking stations, I mean, I'm not saying that we
Yeah, I
shouldn't
mean,
have the
also
bigger screens.
Angela
and
and
stuff.
I have that set up with the docking stations, and it actually is turning out to be a little bit of a pain because it turns out the monitors that they got us don't have, cameras. So when I wanna do a Zoom meeting, I have
My
to
laptop.
undo my, either use the laptop or undo my thing and then turn around and find it, cause the monitor's in the way, and then do it over here, so. That was a little surprising that that's what, those came from IT, we didn't pay for those, so we were happy that we didn't have to pay for them, but still. Yeah, I was originally told that everyone was getting laptops, but, now I think that they budgeted it for PCs.
We can't push back. Or push back, or at least get a 70-30, so that you like, we're 70% of them are laptops and.
I can,
30%.
I
think
can
they're
talk
the
to
same
IT and
price.
do
I
it.
don't
If
think
it's the
there's any-
prices, yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
I think for
Come down a
capital
lot.
budget, all I care about is the
Number.
amount that we need.
Yeah.
If it's comparable,
Look
I'm
fine.
sure that we could probably,
I would just suggest it so you don't have
Yeah.
a sharing situation where you're like
yeah,
trying to do multiple things and you only have 2 laptops in the building, like
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
Or my worry is the next time we get computers is gonna be 2047. And then,
I know,
and those
I
other,
know.
you know, just a regular,
They
that
did
doesn't
say,
exist.
I will say, at capital budget, they were very supportive of, you know, obviously, we need them, and they actually said to me, don't let this kind of situation come up again, we need to be,
Yes,
which is, I mean, it's
I mean,
stating the obvious, but yes, I mean, it's true, like.
how long have you been working on this?
I didn't, yeah, I held it up.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
but it's a good reminder, they get that, you know, we need to constantly be upgrading, we need to be looking ahead as to what is, you know, might be, aging out. And I think the next probably big thing is the AV system, which that's been a long time in the one in the meeting room, so.
We're
That
gonna
might
be
be
depending
something.
on next week.
Yeah, no, it'll be fine, it'll be
Thanks.
fine. But so the light bulb and the projector burned out and, we couldn't buy a new light bulb because it's been discontinued. So we ended up getting like an off brand and we bought 2 of them just because we
Yeah,
don't know where we'll be able to get a second one. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's coming down the road is that it's gonna need to be replaced. So that they were.
So, I mean, hypothetically, that should be an IT thing. There should be like a schedule. And IT
Yes.
should know and should
Yes,
be
and
clued
you
into
do-
what
and
is
you-
happening in
yeah.
the world.
Right, and when you
And-
do a capital budget, they do have like a 10-year thing, and so when I did the request for the computers, I asked IT and they said they're good for about 6 years. So then gets a check mark, you know, 6 years out, but,
so
uh,
the other strategy would be if someone leaves the town. Then, or someone comes in, like, there should be some sort of a recycle. Of IT, like, whatever the resources are, like, it should be moving around to people who need them, and like a guy like me who doesn't works on. Documents and spreadsheets gets, you know, whatever laptop, it could be 3 years old, doesn't really matter for me.
right,
But somebody who works on something that needs more power,
right.
you know, should have something that's newer and more up to date. So I think there should be an IT strategy for the town. But like clearly there isn't one because they get surprised by. And have to take forever to make a decision. I don't know, it just feels like there's a
It's-
more responsible way of doing it, but. I'm just
I'm-
preaching to the choir, I know, sorry.
I mean, if there was something that we could do to contribute to that process, then
Right,
great, but I don't think there is.
I There's probably a few things going on that's leading to that issue, but, you're totally right, and again, I'm not sure how we as a small department can, change that, but we're being vocal and asking for what we need. And it has been, I will say, it's been fantastic having a dedicated day that we have. Joe is here and it's been amazing. And
Huge,
he's just,
huge.
we have a list. Angela emails him the day before so he can bring the equipment he needs or he's prepared. And he has fixed a bunch of small things that we've had, some bigger things that we've had problems with. He's super flexible. He'll do whatever we ask and it's been great.
And we have a working relationship with someone from
now-
IT
Yeah,
now.
well, that should
Yeah.
help
So
you
I
with your
kind of,
efficacy.
and
Yeah.
I'm, you
So
know,
we
I'm
have
still
a
learning how to
door.
be more diplomatic,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he's given us
helpful.
insight into how they work and, you know, some
Yeah.
other issues and it's been,
He's
been
definitely
helpful.
helping us,
yeah, so, I'm so happy we got that going, but we had to ask for that for.
So in 5 years, we say to capital budget, we're here because you asked us to
Mhm.
let you
Right.
know that
Right.
this was going to be happening. So
Right.
thank you for
Right.
asking us to do that.
Yeah, and I mean.
And here we are.
It's logical, of course, you know, don't wait till it's, you know, things practically
We-
are
You
obsolete.
didn't.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
We're getting there, but it's all good, so, anyway.
All right, so for me, I don't really have anything to say on my own account, but CLT did not meet yesterday. We were supposed to, and it got pushed, I think, because we couldn't get a quorum. I don't know why, but it seems
Yeah.
like that's what it was.
They're gonna meet in May.
In May, so at our next quarterly meeting, and there was the investment advisory subcommittee met and they moved some things around and to respond to the market and so that's what I have to say about CLT. And for the Friends, I missed the Friends meeting last week. Did you, you went to the Friends meeting?
Yeah, they have $102,000.
Wow,
Oh my God, that's great.
Yes, and so someone made the suggestion of maybe it shouldn't all be in the checking account, that they should take some of that and. you
By
know,
the Charlie card.
I'm sorry.
exactly, yeah.
But, you know, just put it, even if it's something like, you know, a short-term CD or something, and so they're gonna look into their options of what, they still wanna be able to access it, but it could certainly be making some money for them, so, it's doing really well. And what else did we talk about? They're doing
They put
another
the
raffle
raffle.
there.
I don't know if you saw when you walked in,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
it was
cute,
really
it's
good.
really cute,
Yeah.
it's sort of Valentine's-y, but also like cozy winter things, you know, so a blanket and, you know, DVDs or something like that, so that's really cute, and then they asked me to send out an email about the legislation that they want everyone to kind of reach out to Joe Machino and Patrick O'Connor and say that they're in support of that, and I think the big things this year, well, the state aid is always, but they want to get more funding for e-books because and try to fix the financial model because libraries pay far more for an ebook than just you or me. And sometimes you buy it, depending on the model, you buy it and then it's only good for a certain number of checkouts or for a certain amount of time. So it's not great. And the other thing they wanted, it is a bill about protecting libraries when there are book ban requests. And so as long as libraries are following their policy, there's no liability there. So that's not in the law yet, but that's one of the things they want. We're starting to get more stories shared about these so-called First Amendment audit people who go into libraries and town halls and they're very aggressive and they have their phone or their camera. And they usually have a person who has light or microphone and they try to come in and question people who work there about First Amendment rights and they ask information, you know, what's your salary and your job title and how long you've been here and things like that. And they just get very, it's the one that was just in Hanover, it's a individual who has a following of 230,000 people. And this is what he does for his job is he goes in and he, you know, just.
Harasses.
Yeah, that's the word.
That's the word, yeah, and
To
so.
what end? I don't understand. the
But what's the
point he's
input?
making.
Like, what's
Yeah,
the
You
goal?
should watch the
is to
video.
make-
yeah.
I think
It's on YouTube.
it's on YouTube, yeah.
Give
I-
it more watch.
Do we need to have talking points ready?
So we've done training for the staff, there's a law firm that the town works with that did a webinar on how you're supposed to respond. Some of the information they asked for is public record and that,
Yeah.
you know, so my salary is public record, so.
But you're not required to tell anyone, even though it's public record.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
they're making a public records request,
Oh, I see.
you know, so some
What's-
libraries, this happened at the Hanover Library and they just wanted to shut it down, so they pulled out their, you know, book, the town record book, and they said, this poor woman that was being harassed only made $20,000 a year, which made it even worse, and gave that information to them. You could also say, fill out a public records request, we have 10 days to get the information to you and we'll get back to you. But then they started asking things like, is there gluten in your books, or is, you know, like just.
What?
Is the library gluten free?
Is the library gluten?
I wonder if that's
free?
linked to the whole thing that happened at the Vermont border.
Oh,
Yeah.
They were
some-
vegan.
there's some
They were
vegan-
vegans,
Yeah,
not
no, but it's like some-
Yeah, yeah. So
Thing
it's
happened,
really
movement.
upsetting and people are kind of on edge about
I
it,
was
because you just
reading
don't know when they're
The
gonna.
Globe
come in.
magazine article about that yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, we've been trying to, you know, train the staff, talk to them about it. They're not supposed to go in if any of the areas say staff only, they're supposed to stay out of that, so we kind of put up more signage to be sure that there's off-limit areas, but, they can film patrons. There was a woman in the Hanover one that was like, no, she seemed very upset, and they said, yeah, it's going on YouTube. So.
Doesn't she have protection under
No.
Massachusetts law where you
If you're
can,
in a public place.
okay,
There's the,
you're right, okay.
assumption that you could be filmed.
Yeah.
Even children, which I had to look
Was
at,
shocking.
which was, I
I
was really
didn't realize
surprised about that,
Yeah,
yeah.
right, they can't record you without your consent, I guess, unless, I guess that's
Unless you're in a
the
public place.
exception.
If you were in the bathroom
'Cause you
or
don't have the
someplace where
expectation
you,
of
or
privacy,
your home.
exactly.
Where there's an
Yeah,
expectation of
of
privacy.
privacy.
Is he,
yeah, so
sorry,
if
but
you're
is he
in a
making money off of it? Is he-
Yes,
Yes.
So then that's a commercial filming.
he should have a permit.
He has to
Isn't that
actually
what
he actually has to.
I
have a
mean, I think
permit.
he's making money off of his.
Just from
YouTube
Instagram,
channel, you
yeah,
know.
I mean,
I
which
don't
is,
know
could
that
be
it's
nominal.
directly, yeah, I don't know.
But if
anything.
he's-
I don't
If
know
he is
anything.
making money,
And there's more than one person, this isn't just.
I think there's a,
Yeah.
I mean, I listen, this is what we do for a living. We have to have releases all over every time.
Right,
So we post them up saying you may be filmed or have a film crew in
Right,
from this time to
right.
this time.
And even like if Sharon's taking pictures of a program, she does it from behind.
Right.
Or gets permission from the
right,
caregiver,
yeah.
you know,
But if
that,
we
Right,
were
I've
to,
done that.
let's take this one step logically. If we are to have security cameras, we have to by law have a sign that
Notify
says.
people that there's a camera,
You know,
yeah,
exactly.
right.
yeah,
So,
But I still think that if that's the case, the two parties are the man who's filming and the person being filmed, and the library is not a party to that, you know,
interact.
yeah.
it's just, you
And
know.
we lose our library patrons, that's for
The thing
sure.
that frustrates me is they're talking about the First Amendment, and libraries are big supporters of the First Amendment.
Right,
And so
that's
rather than
the whole reason
supporting
why we're
the
here.
staff who
Yeah.
worked so hard to
Yeah,
keep true to that, belief, they're trying to catch everyone.
is he the kind of
making
person who,
mistakes.
like, being met with a warm embrace would sort of,
So that's what
collapse
happened, but
his-
in at least the one that I watched, and I have seen, this was a couple of years ago when it first started, and it was in Boston, and they were going through Boston, and the security guard ended up kicking them out, which they're not supposed to do, because it was a public place,
right,
that kind of was a big deal, but, so, one person, the circulation person was helping someone, he came in with his friends and they were doing, asking all these questions and filming everyone. And the caught on camera was the circulation person saying to the woman, to the patron, they're trying to be confrontational or something like that, trying to explain to the woman what's going on. And he heard that and he just went, crazy, was like, I've been very polite to you, I haven't bothered anyone, and you're saying this, and I'm going to send this film, I'm gonna post it all online, I'm gonna send it to the select board, you will be put on leave and you will eventually be fired.
On his.
Unless you apologize to me, I'm gonna do all this. So she just said,
Go ahead.
yeah.
right.
She should have.
She
but
said, she
didn't.
wanted to end it, so she just said, I sincerely apologize.
Oh,
He ends
God.
up posting it anyway, so I don't really know what the
Yeah.
apology got her. And then he went back to the director's area, I think it was a director, it was a woman in the back, and her strategy was just to be very calm and answer his questions and, just sort of have nothing be there. And so once he was starting interacting with her, it kind of just, there was nothing more.
Wasn't
to-
interesting to him.
Are you comfortable with that strategy? If that happens,
With which one?
to invite him into your office and have a conversation like that?
Well,
Or
she
does
didn't
that-
invite him into her office. She came out to the front.
Okay.
And she was the one, so he said, I need to know the person's name, the sick person's name, and their salary and the date that they started. And so she pulled out the book and she said, she makes $20,000 a year. Her name was Ann something, and she started, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. The poor woman, I was just terrible.
The woman's still very much upset by this.
Yeah.
all
Well,
the time.
yeah.
So then, yeah,
Yes.
actually was just at a circulation meeting and the person from Hanover was there, not the one that
I
was in
just,
the thing. and
it's
they
still
said, yeah.
eluding me, like, what is he getting out of having that
The
information and
salary.
putting it on YouTube? I just
See,
don't
if
get it.
he's saying, is this gluten-free? Is this library gluten-free? And then they're like politely answering whether it's gluten-free. So
Well,
the whole First
Is he
Amendment
planning to
people.
consume the
Now that was
materials?
what my answer would have been, which is why I'm gonna have to hide in the back. But
But who's watching this and who's this
Oh,
on?
it's
conspiracy
all-
theorists.
And I didn't.
thank
That's
you,
the-
yes,
the
it's a
comment.
very
What'd you say?
specific group of
Yes.
people
Oh.
who are watching this to, like, he
Yeah.
came
When
in
you say
saying, I'm
libraries-
here to make sure that you're,
In
what was the word?
compliance. Everything's
Compliance, that
in
everyone's in
compliance.
compliance, are you in compliance? That was the phrase that was being
Of the
used.
First
With
Amendment.
what?
He didn't mention First Amendment, he
He
just
just
kept
said what?
saying, are you
Yeah.
in compliance, and
Yeah.
just
And then you go through, a room,
videotaping
oh,
and.
that's compliant, and then the other.
Do
And
you
then
think
just
he has
make-
any idea what the laws
Absolutely not.
I
say?
think he probably does know some of them, because some of them are, when they
Also
first
didn't get
started this, it was, people were like, I don't have to give you my salary. Or I don't have to tell you that
Right.
information, and that is not true.
Right,
And I think the whole point is, we work for the public, we are paid by taxpayer money, and yet we don't know what the laws are.
I
I
see.
think that's the
That
point.
you're not acting appropriately because in spite of your status, you're not well equipped to
We
address
don't-
your
we-
job and.
Yeah, so we don't.
So should we have a sheet with everyone's salary on it?
But
So
see,
that you
then
don't
you
have to
just-
interact with this guy and
Yeah.
just say,
So-
I think you just give them the book and you say.
Well, I
"Look it up."
We have
Okay.
out front
This is
the,
what
the
everything's-
annual report.
he's
and
really
you can
committed
see
to the
everyone's
First
salary in
Amendment.
there.
Here it
And
is.
so some
Yeah,
people are
okay,
just
the
gonna do
meeting.
that, and other people have, in fact, I was talking to Allison about it when I came in. There is a form that the state has that's a records request. public
Yeah,
record.
like a
And
FOIA
so
request.
she was gonna
Right.
fill that,
Yeah.
print that out, and then if
Mhm.
someone said it, she was gonna say.
Just give it to him. That
Fill
seems
this
like the
out
best,
and-
the best option,
Yeah.
to be like,
Engagement.
we're delighted you're here.
Right.
Here you go, please.
I think
Mhm.
that-
Would you like a pen? And we'll get back to you in 10 days. Thank
And
you
what
so much for
the
coming
way
in.
The lawyers have said, you should try to pivot it to, is there anything library related I can help you with? But,
Mhm.
you'd be polite, you treat them like any other patron.
Would
You
you like
don't
to take a
volunteer,
library
it's like
card?
you're
Can I
being on
get
the
some
witness stand,
materials?
don't volunteer anything that you
Mhm.
haven't been asked. And just remain calm, and if there's nothing for them to see, then,
Don't move on.
they will move on.
Yeah.
but,
What's
um,
interesting is if you don't engage them in that conversation, you say, listen, here's the form to fill out. I don't want to give you any information because I want to ensure that we're compliant with what, like kind of throw the
Exactly, yeah.
compliant one back
We're
to them.
gonna-
Right.
So we're gonna make sure that, I don't wanna,
Exactly.
I don't wanna misspeak you know, on behalf of the library or behalf of the town, you know, here's this document
Right.
requested, the
Right.
request goes in, then it responds.
It is all public record. I think it's probably good to be reminded that, you know, we do work for the taxpayers.
Right, but you're
and
not
that we are-
required to have all of
Okay.
the information at the top of your mind and ready to just, you know,
Exactly.
at a moment's
Exactly.
notice, yeah.
But it is frustrating because again, we do support the First Amendment and the way that it's being done, it's like a gotcha kind of thing.
Well,
like they're trying
he's
to-
instigating,
they're
this is
trying
what
to
they're
make
This is
doing on
like-
purpose,
it's like a
because they're gonna
libertarian
feed it onto the
thing, is that the
internet.
idea?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose if it was 15
that we
years ago,
we
kind
shouldn't
of,
have
now
municipal
it's.
governments or something
Yeah,
along
so
those
I didn't
lines.
read the comments, but other people did, and they said a lot of it is like, these people don't know how, don't know their jobs
No.
and we're paying them,
No.
that kind of thing.
It's a sad
very
existence,
sensitive, very, very-
if this is what you have to, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
be
awful
excited about.
because there's, yeah, I don't know, it's hard. I mean, I get why, you have to be, but you can't be prepared for everything because he's not gonna come in or these people won't come in and the same thing isn't gonna happen every
Well,
time.
right, I mean,
It's
and
gonna
our
be-
concern is your safety and your
Right.
comfort.
Yes.
I mean, that's the main thing that we're concerned with, and making sure that you have the tools that you need to address this
Mhm.
kind of situation in a way that you feel
Right,
at ease,
right.
you know.
So we also have policies about harassment in the library and things
Right,
like that,
right.
so we also have tools that at what point. It's a judgment call, I suppose, but
Right,
at what
I mean,
point
and
do
that's
you
so
have to
his
call
strategy
somebody
at
to
the time,
say,
at the
I
one-
really, this
Yeah.
This is enough,
Enough.
right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, and, yeah,
But sorry, if I'm hired to do something, I'm hired. But based on a document that should have some roles and responsibilities, and in order to do my jobs, I'm gonna do those roles and responsibilities. Well, to the best of my ability, right? Someone's gonna tell me whether or not I do it well or not. But why would I need to know about municipal law? Like, why would I need to know everything there is to do about running a business? Like, I'm being hired to do a job. Like, if you ask me, like, I'm the head of strategy, I'm number 2 guy at this agency, and there's a lot of things about business side of the business that I don't know about, because I don't really know about it. But if people come and say, oh, well, you're an executive on the organization, why don't you know how to do whatever, I don't know,
yeah, I
that's
mean,
what I do.
I hear what you're saying, I think it's, the difference is, public sector has,
But you're required to know, like. It's weird, like, why
Well,
would I?
at some level of awareness,
Some level,
because
yeah.
there are limitations, that you have to be aware of.
right,
But like, I wouldn't know, like, if someone asked me, if it's in the public record, but someone's saying, what's Angela's salary, I'd be like, it's in the public record, I don't feel comfortable giving you that information. So put a request in, like,
Right.
Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to know and be able to give everybody salary in the building, but like, that would be weird.
Well, I know
That
that's
would
not
be
weird.
weird. Yes, that would be weird, especially with salary information on your coworkers, it
Yes,
seems
right.
uncomfortable.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's why.
Let me check
yeah.
this out.
Yeah,
Right.
once you first got your job, everyone tells you, at any level, you're not supposed to be discussing salaries, that's just like, that's.
Right,
That's
culturally,
kind of
that's
culture,
not,
right,
yeah,
exactly, so I think that's why they're asking for that information, because.
It makes people feel uncomfortable.
It makes
Right.
people feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
so. It's one of those things you have to, every few months or so, refresh the training, because you just never know
Mhm.
when they might come in. And it's town hall too, it's other departments in town they go to, but, libraries seem to be a target.
Well, because we're linked with that whole woke book thing.
Yes,
And
that's what it is.
It's
So
part
they're
of the
coming in
whole-
to.
so this is another
to make them
strategy
look
to get
foolish
at-
or embarrass them.
yeah,
And it's difficult to watch in a
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
It is, if you wanna see it, it's on YouTube.
Frustrating.
Yeah, so.
I do have to email.
Well, I hope that you will keep us apprised if there's anything that we
Yeah,
can do
yeah.
to support your
Thank you, appreciate it.
safety and comfort.
Yeah.
Any other business?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you all.
Thank you.
That was different.
A lot of stuff I heard today.
You're not gonna believe this, though.